Let me ask you something. Do you ever feel like you're falling behind life? Like everyone else is sprinting ahead while you're stuck on the sidelines? Maybe it's your career, your relationships, even your finances. Or maybe it's just this overwhelming feeling of not being enough. I get it because I've been there, and today I wanted to have this honest conversation about why we feel that way, how social media has amplified it, and why the idea of being behind is honestly just a lie. This video isn't going to be a lecture. Think of it as a heart to heart. I'll share some moments from my life when I felt completely stuck, the lessons I've learned, and actionable steps to help you move forward. So if you ever felt like you're running out of time or measuring up, stay with me. This video might be exactly what you need to hear. Why do we feel behind? I think a lot of this feeling comes from the constant pressure to achieve. Society has built this invisible timeline for us that we should graduate by 22, get your dream job by 25, and buy a house by 30, and obviously have the perfect family by 35. But who even decided these milestones were universal? And more importantly, why do we hold ourselves to them when life doesn't work that way? And social media does make this worse. We see someone announcing a promotion, someone else is getting engaged, another person traveling the world, and it's so easy to compare. But here's the thing, what you're seeing in this is their highlight reel, not the full story. You don't see the sacrifices, the late nights, or the self-doubt that comes with that. For me, there was a time where I thought I was so far behind. I scroll through Instagram, see people hitting milestones and think, what's wrong with me? But the more I reflected, the more I realized that their timeline has nothing to do with mine. And that realization changed everything. And it's important to recognize the feeling behind is often rooted to the comparison is never a fair game. It's like trying to compare a tree to a river. They are both beautiful, but they meant to grow and flow in entirely different ways. Here's a question I want you to ask yourself. What does success actually mean to you? Growing up, I thought success was about external things like money, titles, a picture-perfect life. But the more I chased those things, the emptier I felt. But why? Why they were not my goals? They were someone else's. For me, success has shifted to things like freedom, balance, and fulfillment. I'm still figuring it out, but now I know that success doesn't have to look like what society expects. Success for me could be as simple as having a peaceful morning routine or creating content that connects with people on a deeper level. Take a moment to think about it. If no one was watching you, what would you truly want? Not what you think you should want, but what do you actually want? That's where your real goals live. And guess what? You're allowed to redefine success as many times as you need. Write it down, create your own definition of success, and revisit often because it's going to evolve as you do. And that's okay. Life isn't about chasing one fixed idea of success. It is about growing into who you were meant to be. Now, talking about the myth of running out of time, one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is that we're running out of time. But let me ask you this, who decides the timeline? Who is that person? Because life is not a race. Some people find their passion at 20, others discover it at 50. Oprah didn't even launch her talk show until her 30s. Colonel Sanders started KFC in his 60s, so I used to think that if I didn't figure everything out by a certain age, I'd be doomed, but life doesn't work that way. You can start over at any time. You're allowed to pivot, change careers and relationships that don't serve you, or pursue a new dream. Think of your life as a novel. Some chapters are going to be messy, some will feel like filler, but every chapter is necessary to build the story, and you're the author. You get to decide how it unfolds. Comparison will rob you. Let's talk about comparison because it's one of the biggest traps that makes us feel behind. Here's the thing, you're comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. You're seeing their wins without seeing their struggles. For example, I always compare myself to someone who seemed to have it all, career, relationship, lifestyle, but later I found out that they were struggling in ways I couldn't even imagine. And that person used to go to high school with me, and then we get to finally sit down and have a lot of conversations about how we were feeling after we left school Comparison is unfair because we all have different starting points, challenges, and goals. Instead of looking at others and thinking, why don't I have that? Try asking, what can I learn from them? Or better yet, focus on your own growth. The only person you should be comparing yourself to is the version of you from yesterday. So we should celebrate your small wins because those wins add up. And trust me, they do. If there's one thing that I've learned, it's this. Life is not a straight line. It's a series of twists, turns, and detours. Some of the best things in life happen because I veered off the path I thought it was supposed to take, and the same will be true for you. Trust your process even when it doesn't make sense in the moment. Your 20s, 30s, or even your 40s are meant to be about having it all figured out. They're about learning, growing, and evolving. You're allowed to change your mind, take breaks, and forge your own path. The journey is what makes life meaningful, not the destination. So here's the takeaway. You're not behind. You're exactly where you need to be, even if it doesn't feel like it. So stop comparing, stop rushing, and start focus on what truly matters to you. Life is not a race. It is your unique journey, and that's no right or wrong way to live it. Now, let's talk about mindset. The way you think about being behind can either empower you or hold you back. So instead of doing that, you should focus on your lane. Imagine driving on a highway. If you're constantly looking at others' cars, you crash. So stay in your lane, and I mean that in a good way. You should also be able to redefine success. What does success mean to you? Forget what society says. Define your own milestones, and you should also celebrate small wins. Progress isn't always flashy. Did you learn a new skill? Improve your health, repair a relationship, that's growth, and it matters. Alright, so let's get into some actionable steps. How do you overcome this feeling of being behind? I would say that we could go over 4 things. The first being, you should limit social media time. If scrolling through Instagram makes you feel bad, set boundaries. Maybe unfollow accounts that trigger comparison and follow those that inspire you instead. Number 2, set realistic goals. We could always break down our goals into smaller and manageable steps. For example, if you want to switch careers, focus on one thing at a time, like updating your resume or taking a relevant course. Number 3, connect with like-minded people. Surrounding yourself with people who understand your journey, whether it's friends, family, or online communities. Having support makes a huge difference. And number 4, practicing gratitude. Every night, write down 3 things you're grateful for. Shifting your focus to what's going well can help you see your progress more clearly. At the end of the day, life is not about how fast you get somewhere. It's about experiences, lessons, and connections you make along the way. So your journey is yours. Embrace its twists and turns and trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. You're not behind. You're right where you need to be. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this. Being kind. Be kind to yourself. You're doing better than you think, and your growth is not tied to how quickly you achieve something. If this video resonated with you, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who might need to hear it.